All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're unpacking the raw, completely unfiltered psychology behind Day 6 of the Unshakable You series. Now, if you know this source material, you know it absolutely dismantles how modern professionals view their careers and self-worth. Well, Day 6, it zeroes in on exactly what to do when that comfortable corporate structure just vanishes. We're going to visually deconstruct the precise mechanics of how to reprogram your mind during a career transition. So get ready, because the concepts we're mapping out today are intense, they're highly actionable, and they are literally designed to rewire how you approach your entire day.
Okay, I want you to stop whatever else you might be thinking about right now. Who is your only boss? It's a blunt question, right? And it demands an immediate, brutally honest answer. Look, most people instinctively think of the person who signs their paycheck, or maybe the director they report to, or a company board. But here's the thing, when you're in a career transition, or frankly at any point in your professional life, holding on to that mindset is a massive psychological trap. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of both authority and your own self-worth.
The source material actually hits us with this incredible directive here. Look past your hair, look past your skin, look directly into your own pupils. That is your only boss. I mean, wow. That is the only individual you are truly accountable to. The author deliberately uses this aggressive pattern interrupt to basically shock the reader completely out of their corporate dependency. It's forcing you to realize that you just cannot outsource your leadership. You have to immediately reclaim the title of boss for yourself.
Okay, let's dive into this. Section 1. The job loss vacuum.
So the exact moment a career transition begins, there's this profound psychological crisis that kicks in. And the danger? It lies in the vacuum itself. Think about it. For years, you're just handed a structure, right? You've got your morning meetings, you've got a boss checking your KPIs, and you're following these mandated, totally predictable corporate schedules. But what happens when you lose that job? All of that external structure completely vanishes overnight. Poof, gone. And here's the terrifying reality the source points out. The human brain absolutely despises a vacuum. If you don't consciously and aggressively program your mind first thing in the morning, that empty space isn't just going to stay empty. It is inevitably and rapidly going to fill up with doubt, anxiety, and depression. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what we're talking about. The contrast is just jarring. Look at the corporate structure. You have morning meetings, bosses checking your numbers, mandated schedules. It's comfortable, mainly because it's completely defined for you. But in the vacuum, you're staring at zero external accountability, deafening silence, and frankly, endless doom scrolling on job boards. Without that corporate structure dictating your every move, you are basically left in a free fall. You absolutely cannot survive the vacuum by relying on the tools from your old corporate life. It demands an immediate, radical, internal intervention. Which brings us to Section 2, the execution metric.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it highlights that surviving the vacuum requires a complete, fundamental shift in how we measure a successful day. We have to look at the sheer mathematical insanity of our default mindset. On one side, you've got employment status, a totally external variable. On the other, internal execution, a fully controllable variable. The source argues passionately here that measuring your day, and by extension measuring your actual self-worth, by your employment status is quite literally crazy. Why? Because it relies entirely on external variables you don't control. You have to transition exclusively to measuring your daily worth by your internal execution.
Zero. That is exactly the amount of control you have over those external factors. You have zero control over a recruiter's mood on a random Tuesday morning. You have absolutely zero control over some automated HR algorithm that's filtering out your resume based on random keyword strings. And let's be honest, those algorithms seem to hate everyone equally on Tuesdays anyway, right? And you definitely have zero control over the broader economic market weather. If you're tying your psychological stability to variables where your control is absolute zero, you are just going to be constantly tossed around by the storm.
Moving right along to Section 3, building the internal ledger.
So, to permanently replace that lost corporate structure and insulate yourself from the uncontrollable market, the source introduces this core psychological tool, the internal ledger. Basically, this is a non-liquidatable historical record of navigated personal crises, financial strains, and saved projects that undeniably proves an individual's competence. And I really want to emphasize this point. This is not just cheap motivational fluff, okay? This is a concrete biological truth of your past resilience. No corporate layoff, no downsizing, no cold rejection email can ever liquidate this ledger. It is locked in, it's permanent, and it belongs entirely to you.
Let's move to and see how this builds. Just think about your own history for a second. Have you ever saved collapsing projects when everyone else around you is panicking? Have you navigated severe personal crises? What about surviving crushing financial strains or managing terrifying family emergencies without breaking? You built this competence with your own sweat, your own tears, and your own intellect. You engineered those survivals entirely independent of a corporate badge or a fancy job title. That history of execution, that is the undeniable proof of your capability.
All right, Section 4, the daily indoctrination ritual. Now, understanding the ledger conceptually is one thing, but activating it is a whole different ballgame. These are the practical, extremely aggressive steps required every single morning to keep that vacuum closed, and they are completely non-negotiable. Step 1, look directly in the mirror, right into your own pupils. Step 2, out loud, and I mean not just in your head, but audibly speaking into the physical room, list 3 impossible problems you have already beaten in your lifetime. Step 3, step away from that mirror and go dominate your day. This isn't some passive, feel-good morning routine. This is the active mechanics of programming your brain. You are forcing it to focus on your proven historical data before the chaotic digital world even has a chance to interfere.
So the crucial point here is the timing. As the source says, this is totally non-negotiable. You must execute this ritual before touching your phone, before opening a single job board, and before checking the internet. If you wake up and the very first thing you do is look at a rejection email or doom scroll social media, you are handing the first crack at your brain right back to those external forces. You must establish and set your internal ledger first, period. It sets a concrete, unshakable foundation for your entire day. Because the reality is you are a walking archive of resilience. We're really getting to the climax of the source's manifesto right here. The mandate is to remind yourself of your own hard data every single morning. Think about it. You have survived 100% of your bad days so far. You have an archive of wins. You just have to actually open that archive and read it to yourself daily. Indoctrinate your mind with the reality of your own strength until doubt has no room to breathe. Self-belief during a career transition is absolutely not a passive thing. It doesn't just magically happen because you want it to. It requires highly aggressive, daily maintenance. You have to actively crowd out the doubt by completely overwhelming your brain with the factual evidence of your own historical strength.
So, to wrap up our thematic breakdown for this explainer, remember this. Your worth is recorded, settled, and totally undeniable. Once you successfully access that internal ledger every morning, that desperate need for external corporate validation, it simply evaporates. You start to realize that your value isn't something a recruiter temporarily grants you, it's something you already possess in total abundance. The case is closed. The debt is in. You are competent.
I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Really think about your life, your career, and the hardest moments you've ever faced. What 3 impossible problems will you list in the mirror tomorrow morning? The vacuum is waiting. But now you have the exact blueprint to fill it. Step up to the mirror, access your ledger, and step fully into your absolute power. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I highly encourage you to put this into practice immediately.